So,
Hi.
hi.
That's our intro.
That's our intro. I awkwardly start my individual one all the time. I'm like, yeah, so I don't do anything official. It's just like, hi.
Hi.
I'm here. Welcome to Between the Galaxies.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. And we always start off with just a little snippet of who you are. Just say your name, what you do, who you are, what's inside the meat suit.
Yeah. Oh, I always freeze when I get this question. Who am I? My name's Leah Spigelman. I am professionally a clinical psychologist here in the Valley. And outside of that, I do a lot
of things.
Yeah, a lot of things. I've been trying to get out here in the community a little bit more in different capacities. So offering like workshops, community workshops, been partnering a little bit with the library, doing things like that,
Nice.
in a little bit more of like a clinical capacity. And then I am starting to do more like spiritually focused workshops because for me, even in my clinical practice, just the integration of like the whole body, mind, body, and spirit is, in my perception, like the best way to, not best, I don't feel like there's one right way, but like
Yeah.
to integrate the spiritual self is a big part of healing as well.
Absolutely.
And doing it in community spaces because we cannot heal alone. We are social creatures. And
Yeah.
so being able to have community is something that's really important to me. And feels like there's only so much I can do in like the context of a like professional clinical space.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like what a dichotomy to balance both of those perceptions. We were put in contact with you because of a childhood friend of mine that works with you.
Yep.
And I don't know if she actually recognizes to what capacity you are the perfect guest for this podcast and how like-minded we really are. She has a strong intuition.
Yes. Well, she actually, so I used to do, on my own free time during work, I would host like 30-minute mindfulness groups for staff.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Because we're burnt out. Like,
Yeah.
we need support as well. And so I just wanted to have like a free offering for staff to
That's
be able
amazing.
to like just have a break during their work day. And she actually came to all of my sessions and we
That's
started
so cool.
connecting as friends. And after I stopped doing that because I was no longer a postdoc that had the free time, we continued to meet up with each other. And so she's gotten to hear more about who I am and how I
Cool.
just sort of show up in these
Yeah.
sort of spiritual spaces as well. So
I love that so much. And then little did we know, like, well, we did kind of know. I don't know, Dan, tell when I told you who Leah was.
Like Leah, that sounds familiar. And then usually I go and I'll go on Facebook and see if they're on Facebook and be like, who our mutual friends are. And I was looking at your phone, I was like, I know her. I don't know her, but I've met her and in passing sort of at Claire's and doing the,
'Cause you had,
especially
like,
the
a
art
tagged-
series and then a couple of the other, like the, what was it? Was it the winter equinox or
probably I've been going to a lot of them.
222
So
or something?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I think it was
Yep.
222.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, cool. And then, I was like, I'm excited because, And I was like, was the friend Claire? She's like, no, somebody else. I was like, what? This is awesome.
I know.
very small world.
Yeah,
very
it really
small
is. It's so cool.
And it's cool too because I just got done this weekend doing her retreat.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I got to do yoga nidra there. And then we did a duo sound bowl closing ceremony. And it was like pretty much 4 days, 3 nights in Chelan. It was like my first ever retreat. And I was like, this is awesome. And just the circles getting expanding, but it's like way more wholesome than my original circle was.
Yeah. It's funny.
Awesome.
At the retreat that she did in October,
Yeah.
that really opened up the gates for me to start doing some workshops there at Clarity as well.
Yeah.
So back in January, I did a vision boarding workshop.
No, I saw that. And I was like,
I know. I have more
missed
coming
it.
up.
Okay.
More coming up. So all of April, I'll be doing a workshop series focused on connecting to our inner wisdom, our intuition, our consciousness, higher self, whatever you want to call it.
It's so good. I was like,
Yeah. In my perception, it's all the same shit packaged differently. So whatever you want to name it,
Exactly.
we're helping ourselves
We're gonna go
connect to
through it.
that.
Yeah.
Just different modalities, different practices that I found supportive for me. And then tarot reading workshop,
We're like-
which is going to be awesome too. Just again, another way to connect with intuition.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
I love
it's
it.
awesome because she's been doing tarot before. She got me into tarot, and then I've been dabbling in it for a while, and then expanding and meeting other people. And our friend Camille, she does tarot readings, and then I was like, she's gonna have a class on tarot.
There
We're
needs
gonna
to
have
be
so much
more.
to talk about.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. Where do I start? Yeah. There needs to be more of those like sort of how to like people that are interested in it but don't really know where to start.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I wish I would have had a workshop like that back then. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I followed people on YouTube and just kind of caught on that way, but nothing beats like a face-to-face, like you can interact while I'm practicing or trying to
Right.
intuitively interpret messages and just have that
Exactly.
in-person guidance.
And
Yeah.
then sometimes it's like a cool way of talking to each other and interpreting a message that might show up like deeply or shallowy, and then or it might not show up at all. And you're like, oh well, maybe it'll show up later, and this is what we can talk about and process. Jonah actually messaged me last night, and it was my son. He was like, do you do tarot? I was like, I'm a bit of a beginner. I still use the book a lot on it, but he's like, can you do a reading for me? tomorrow?" Yeah,
I
Wow,
love that.
Jonah's 20.
yeah, and he bought a deck. I didn't
Oh,
know.
that's
I'm like,
awesome.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Jonah's very much like me. He's like a little rambunctious, ADHD,
Interested in
Tasmanian
a
devilish.
business. Yeah.
I love that.
Do you have any kids? I meant to
I
ask.
do not.
Okay.
Nope. No kids.
What year did you graduate high school?
2013.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you grow up here?
I did not. Grew up like all up and down the East Coast. Born in New
cool.
York. Grew up in
Cool.
Georgia for the most part.
Wow.
Spent a couple of years in Florida during my childhood, and then went back for grad school when I was doing
Nice.
my doctorate.
Oh, nice.
And then ended up over here in Wenatchee. Went like tip to tip.
Yeah. I was going to say, what brought you here?
Yeah. I was finishing up grad school, and a big part of that is our internship. And so that was a process of, you apply to 20 different places, and then you get, you might get interviews. And then with those interviews, you have to rank these places, and then they rank you, and then you match. So like there's this
cool.
algorithm. It was incredibly stressful.
Wow.
Oh, I bet.
It's low key hazing. All of grad school is it.
You're like, why can't we just
Yeah.
do this way more simpler? Like,
Yeah. But I was very proud of myself. I ended up
Good.
matching with my #1 site and
Yay.
cool.
ended up staying there. I'm still there right now.
So you
as
matched
full-time-
here in Wenatchee?
Yes, in Wenatchee.
Cool.
At the time, I had a partner who was living in Seattle, so there was like extra pressure of like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to make it over.
Oh
We
my
were doing long
gosh.
distance. I like to say I didn't move here for a boy, but I guess I sort of did.
Yeah.
That didn't work out, but I've really found that at least when it comes to the career, being here has been phenomenal for me.
Awesome.
I used to be a part of a meditation group down in Florida, and we also did like channeled messages, things like
that's
that.
cool.
And one message that really sticks with me is a woman told me, like, no matter what happens, you're meant to go west. And so like I just keep trying to tell myself that anytime there's any like hardship or things that don't go as planned, I'm like, I'm meant to be here. I don't know for how long, but there still feels like there's a lot of growth that can happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just hearing of the workshops you're doing, even just at Claire's, like, correct me if I'm wrong, does it feel like it's just starting? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. There is there's constant growth
Oh, yeah.
happening. And so like the just starting was, being an early career psychologist, signing on as faculty. I do a lot of supervision, training, mentoring, things like that within the clinic, as well as seeing patients. And now that I'm trying to expand in different ways, like it just feels like another chapter that I'm starting. Here, because we have such a large population of Latinos as well, I've been able to focus in more on Latino mental health, which is something that's really important to me, being Latina myself, and had opportunities to really improve my Spanish. I came here receptively bilingual. I could understand everything. I grew up with my family speaking Spanish, but every time I would respond in English and they were upset. But having opportunities through the clinic to go to Guatemala, do a Spanish and cultural language program for 3 weeks, come back, work with patients who are monolingual Spanish speaking and who otherwise wouldn't get the services they need. The interpreters really suck. And so like just the tension of hearing, because like I understood everything that was happening and the interpreters weren't really interpreting well. And I was just like, okay, I'm motivated to bridge this language gap and to provide a service that's actually good quality for individuals who deserve it, who otherwise like there's so much stigma regardless when it comes to mental health, but especially within the Latino community, like we don't talk about our feelings. And so to be able to be representation for, even if we're culturally different, for this population, I feel like I'm doing so much healing work for my family, for my ancestors.
I was just going to say, there's some ancestral healing going on there.
Definitely.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, okay. Timeline of things. I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
What inspired you to go into clinical psychology, and at what point in your life was the spiritual side and understanding of the world coming out, and at what point did you realize that you can start integrating them?
Good questions. Whenever I get the question of like,
I bombarded you.
No, it's
She's a
just
Gemini.
love it. Whenever I get the question of like, what brought you into psychology? There's like this part of me that's like, here's the professional answer that you give in interviews, right?
Exactly.
Like,
But what's the nitty
But
gritty?
the nitty gritty, of course, is, growing up in a home where like they were just witnessing mental health challenges. The treatment wasn't the best. And so there is, I think my inner child being like, hey, I need to like heal my family and make sure that everyone's okay.
I feel like I could do better or learn to do better.
Exactly. I've always been a helper, a healer in some capacity. I've always been the person in my friend group that like they come to get advice or to hold the secrets or whatever it might be. And I just... I don't even ask for it. I don't even look for it. It just happens. I don't know. There's something about me. Neptune in the first house. I just bring people in, and you okay?
I'm like,
it's springtime.
how should I mute myself? Jesus.
We're human. We sneeze. We cough.
Thank you. I always end up having some kind of like sneeze or cough attack. Like when someone's actually trying to explain something meaningful, and I'm like, oh my God, don't die.
That's okay. At any point, I could always pause and then
Jump
back in.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I've always been like called to do it in some capacity, and I don't know why. I've always been interested in understanding myself through any way that I can. So I was the type of person to look up like, gene keys, astrology, human design, all of these things. And I might not understand all of it. Right? Yeah. And I might not understand all of it, but like being able to get little like pieces here and there.
Exactly.
And I think a big part of psychology as well is like understanding humans, understanding ourselves.
Are you a Sagittarius?
I am not. I am an Aquarius sun. Capricorn rising. So yeah, grad school was not a problem. I'm a hard worker.
Exactly. That's awesome.
And an Aries moon.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah. Very passionate, very fiery. Love the things that
That's
are
awesome.
esoteric and weird and
Exactly.
witchy and
I wanna
understanding
know,
systems
yeah.
and putting the puzzle pieces
Exactly.
together.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, when I was in college and undergrad, I was like, okay, what can I do? In my mind, I thought like the only way to be a helper was to be a doctor. I didn't have people who came before me who could pave that way for me.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of me figuring it out for myself. That first year made 2Ds in gen chemistry and lost my scholarship. And I was like, yeah, no, we're dropping pre-med. And then started doing some research and found out that I could be a psychologist and it doesn't have to be research based. I could do a PsyD, which is more clinically focused.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Because I hate research. My brain, while I can understand systems when it comes to people and like personal dynamics, the math and the science of it all.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, there's very few PsyD programs out there. So I ended up applying to like 3, got into 1. I went to that one down in Florida, and it all was sort of aligned because that's where my dad lives. And so got to spend some time there. And that's really where I got to see a different side of spirituality. So growing up, there was always a pull for the witchy, the occult, the spiritual. I grew up, watching my mom pull tarot cards, and
Oh, yeah.
I was always curious. We're Dominican, and so I think we often see this dichotomy of like more traditional spiritual, like rooted in African spirituality, like Santeria. Sometimes it might even go to the point of like brujeria, which I think has been demonized a lot by the Catholic Church. And you see a lot of, with Catholicism in Dominican Republic as well, like you get this tension. And so even like in my own bloodline, on my maternal grandma, super, super Catholic, and then my maternal or paternal grandma was more witchy. And so
cool.
like I even feel that tension inside of myself.
Yeah.
But my mom was always very connected in ways that I didn't quite understand, but was interested in, but was always like, in some ways there was some fear around it because she was just so intuitively connected that sometimes it couldn't be controlled, which is something that terrifies me. I love control. And so in Florida, I started going to this meditation group that they were also doing like energy healing, and the leader, the founder, whoever of the group, sounds like a cult, the leader, he also was able to channel spirit. And so I was interested, curious, and it wasn't until like actually doing it that I got to see like a non-demonized side of spirituality, a lighter side of it. Like I don't do hexes or anything like that. Like it's really, I don't know. I believe that whatever we put out there, we're going to get back tenfold. And so I try to be very cautious about what I'm doing. And so there, I spent 4 years there learning how to do energy healing myself.
Oh, cool.
Guiding meditations. I remember I'd like write out a whole script, and I started out like just practicing that script. And then after some time, it's been more like, intuitively like, all right, I might have like a certain way that I start, but then whatever comes out after me, like it just feels channeled. And so from there, I came here for my internship, doing integrative care. And a big part of that they, have emphasized is spiritual integration as well, because we look at the context, the entire context of a human, work, love, play, as well as your health. What are your spiritual values? What are your beliefs? What's your worldview? And so this was a space where I was like, okay, maybe I can integrate a little bit. There's some modalities out there, such as like acceptance commitment therapy that integrates mindfulness. And so that was my way of like doing it clinically where
Yeah.
it felt
Exactly.
safe.
Yeah.
But I felt very blessed to be able to have a boss who also just allows me to dabble in other things as well.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I had a traditional healing group that I did there for a little while for the Latino population, especially with what's happening in the world right now. And it was, doing limpias, which is, an energy cleansing.
Oh, cool.
We learned about, music and dance and movement and other forms of healing that have been embedded in our culture from like day one
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
through things like colonialism, imperialism, things like that. We've been ripped away from our cultural knowing.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, there was part of me that felt like, am I allowed to do this?
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
this space, especially in a medical space where things have to be, evidence-based. Things
Yes.
need to be like, are you qualified? This
Yeah.
needs to be deeply researched.
I'm sure there's not a lot of places that would provide a platform for you to do what you're doing.
No. Yeah. And so I felt like I was doing something dirty or wrong,
Right.
or I was
Yeah.
going to get in trouble. But before that, I actually went with my boss to this conference, the National NLPA, National Latinx Psychological Association conference in Puerto Rico. And a lot of the continuing education sessions did focus on traditional healing. And it was so healing for me to see like, this is backed by neuroscience. This is backed
Oh,
by
yeah.
research. There's so much healing that happens in even just being in nature, in the connection of someone's energy, of doing a ritual.
Yeah.
Even
like-
if it's just this like placebo effect, like your brain is
Oh, yeah,
responding to
exactly.
what
You
you're
say that
doing.
all the time.
I'm like,
It's all belief.
I'm like,
yeah.
placebo is like this thing that you're like, oh, fake, but it's not. It's like the
belief.
power of belief.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's
And
been
then
saying that
now
for
I'm like,
months
dude,
and months. Yeah.
Like that, I was like, that's the thing. I'm like, you just have to believe whether that's all. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's like just committing to a belief. It's like, and then I'm like, it's working. It's like, it's coming, it's showing up and then it's expanding. And then when you start filling yourself with doubts and fears and all the shadow aspects of it, and then it just doesn't have time to manifest or,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thing to believe it like cognitively,
Yeah, but
but another thing to deeply feel it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, at least for me personally, that has made it hard to believe. Sometimes it's like also being socialized in a very like intellectualized space, needing to have the research, needing to back it up in these like very scientific ways.
exactly. Yeah.
But I'm a very, intuitive person. And so managing that tension for myself has actually been really helpful and healing, because I think a lot of us are socialized to believe like we need to have the proof and the facts rather than allowing the belief to sort of be the guiding
Yeah.
space, and then allowing it to unfold on its own to then have that cognitive proof for yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
But the doubts and the fears, they're incredibly valid. Like there's
Yes.
a lot of
Oh, yeah.
reasons why they come
Exactly.
up.
That's awesome.
And so, a lot of what I do as well is like, how can we integrate that? How can we meet those shadows? Because if we just ignore them, if we deny them, like they're just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
And then there's no,
That might be an outburst or
no greater sense of like
Exactly.
integration as a human.
Yeah.
and that's like the coolest part of that is like light and darkness. It's like you need both. You need darkness to see light. You need light to know it's darkness. I've always been living that. And then I'm a war veteran, and I've been kind of following pretty much everybody hears the stories about the VA and how bad it is and blah, 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 it needs help. And then, but as seeing other veterans, I'm seeing a lot more that are getting into spiritual sides.
Yeah.
And then I've been into like an Iraq, Afghanistan counseling group in Wenatchee. And then just kind of seeing, expanding on my story and stuff in trauma, just watching a lot more stuff happening, people getting more into the spiritual.
Oh, yeah.
And then them noticing, even the VAs noticing more of like, well, we and the counselors I've seen, we need to just let these guys like talk amongst themselves. Maybe be here in the back and be like, hey, do little cues in case
just
they get a
being
little
like that holding space and like gentle
Yeah.
facilitation. I actually did one of my training years was in the Miami VA and
Oh,
the
that's
pain
awesome.
clinic.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
And I
yeah.
did, that's where I really started doing a lot more training in acceptance and commitment therapy for chronic pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I'm seeing like more of my vet friends are like the same time too, are getting into art, or getting into yoga, getting into all these cool. I'm like, what? This is awesome, and it kind of expanding up. They're still, they'll have their own therapist and stuff like that, but like it's being allowed to have a space to kind of explore and see where they need to go and what works for them, because everybody's a little bit different, or some people need more structure, some people need more expansion. It's kind of cool to watch that and notice it. And I'm like, and I feel like there's a bigger shift happening now that more people are kind of wanting to expand and learn about spirituality and what that means, and what these things, like the different stuff that we do, like energy healing and like all of the body working. So it's like, it's pretty cool to see that happening more and more.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Especially, for a lot of, I've never been in the military or anything like that, but just even at the VA, like seeing the ways in which individuals are socialized in a very, it's protective when you're in that, fight or flight, like that is survival. You have to be strong. You can't show weakness.
Exactly.
You have to, for a lot of men, like there's this like hyper masculinity that happens. And then after the fact, when you're out of that survival space, continuing to stay in that can cause more harm than good.
Absolutely.
Right? There's so much disconnection from the self, from other people, from society. And so it was just such an honor to be able to do training in a space where I could, see that perspective of where people were coming from, but then also, guiding them of like, okay, well, what are your values now? What is your worldview?
Exactly.
What do you want your worldview to look like now? Knowing that all of those things are going to come with you. Like it impacts us as humans, regardless, our experiences will impact us. But it's hard to get out of that state of fight or flight, especially after trauma.
Yeah. And then it's like, then you have like just the social conditioning and stuff that's happening, and how a man should be like this, and so I've been radically opening myself up to everybody in my life now.
Radically is the perfect word for it.
I'm a union boilermaker, a tradesman, and my brake shack's like a bunch of wild teenager
Caveman.
child caveman, and I'm like yoga, and I like that, like I got into yoga. And then I was like, I put it away because I was like, oh, that's not normal for men. And, but now I'm like expanding and opening up, and then I'm talking about it more. And then I have like, I'm giving myself power to just express who I really am, and then not being swayed by people's opinions that might not even happen.
Right.
They're just in my head, most of it, And then, so I'm always, yoga. I went on a retreat for 4 days. I'm like, what? For reals? Yep. I was like the only guy with 13 women. It was the first time I've had that many women in my life in one sitting, and it was awesome. And then it's like people are questioning. Like the guys are like, what kind of stuff did you guys do? What'd you eat? Was it fun? Was it? So the conversations happen.
Yep. Planting the seeds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like excited, and I'm really excited about all your April classes, because it's
Yeah.
So other than doing like workshops, like, or I keep calling them workshops, classes.
Yeah, I call them workshops.
Okay,
I don't
perfect.
know. Like,
Yeah.
again, all the same shit packaged differently.
Yeah, a gathering.
Gathering.
With those that you're doing with Claire at Clarity, do you get to practice your clinical psychology integrated with your spiritual practices? Do you get to do that outside of where you work, like in a, I don't know, more of like a sole proprietor, like your own business, like that type of thing?
Yeah, not quite. I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
You know, there might be a potential. There's always potential to, like, you know, branch out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's scary to do that.
Yes.
I
get that.
Yeah, I'm sort of like in this in-between space of like, okay, what do I want the future to look like? And I think part of how I am expanding out of what I'm doing clinically is through, you know, the workshops and, you know, doing these, you know, more community-based things. Nothing is quite set in stone yet. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I think for right now, continuing to get myself out there in that different capacity through the workshops that I've been doing. I've also, you know, I try to, it's been a few months, I need to get back to it, but like posting guided meditations on YouTube, like just finding other ways to put my medicine out there, my magic out there, that doesn't feel so constrained.
Yeah. I just have this, you just have, like, in my eyes, a power to the things that you know and the things you do, because I feel like it's a rarity to find someone that has studied through everything that you have in college to get to a clinical practice, but also have the depth of knowledge in the spiritual realm that you do. I don't think I've ever met someone that has a deep understanding of both.
Yeah.
And I could totally see you, like, opening up your own practice and being like, here's what I offer. Come to me for a tarot reading. Come to me for a Reiki. Come to me for, I'm a legitimate
or
like
therapist.
therapist.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Because I've noticed too, and then I just noticed, this weekend I do the yoga nidra, so that's like deep meditation, sound bowls, and I've noticed just my personal little, like, life experience knowledge, just how intuitive women are and how energy healing could be very impactful because they feel more, and there's, like, you know, so I had my first, like, person who kind of had like a spiritual detox session afterward, and was just really sleepy, and I was like, whoa, this is like my first time having that, and I was like, are you okay?
well, you noticed it because you were in the same living space. I bet there's been other people, but
that
they leave you after the session, and
which,
you know,
like, then I was like, oh, you know, I should talk about that, like, before I do yoga nidra or after, and just and then learn more. I read more about, like, oh, let's dive into this. So then I have a little bit of knowledge and can kind of, like, because most of it was like, well, I don't want to waste my retreat, but at the same time, I'm like, your body's telling you need to rest. Like
you need to
rest. You got to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's part of the experience, is what's happening right now. And it's kind of cool to just see and learn that, and then being able to see how much power that is. And it happens a lot. Like, a lot of people, if you could, like, almost give yourself spiritual psychosis by going expanding too fast, too much, and not knowing some of the fundamentals and the you know, the foundations of some of this energy work. You know?
And this is where I feel like being trained in psychology, being trauma informed, is incredibly supportive in the spiritual work that I do.
Totally.
There's so many times where, like, I go to a yoga class and, like, something is said, I'm like, ooh, that was not trauma informed, or, oh, that was sort of fat shamey, or, oh, you're, like, telling people to move past their limits of their body, and so many individuals get injured.
Or they are trying to perform instead of practice. And,
and it sort of, like, takes away the soul of yoga. It takes away the soul of, you know, these meditative practices. And so I try to, like, not judge, but there's this part of my brain that's like, oh, I could do that better.
Yeah.
Because I do have this like specialized knowledge of like, how can we have this actually be a therapeutic experience for someone?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I, have done all of these practices for myself, meditation, yoga, art, all of these things that I'm like, okay, I'm getting to do this in a different way because of my knowledge.
Exactly.
I'm still a human, and there were periods of my life where I was going past my limits, or I was injuring myself because it was egoic driven.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then I, after injury, had to really learn to listen to
You're like,
myself. And
"Ooh."
it was like, oh my gosh, what an important life lesson for
Oh, it
me.
is.
And it just fueled the fire of me wanting to like start doing that
Mm-hmm.
in different capacities for other individuals. So like I'm in the process of finishing up, I'm doing like a online yoga teacher training, and I'm doing a more clinically focused training on the neuroscience of yoga for trauma.
Exactly.
And so that way I can start holding spaces where I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I might be activating for
And
someone.
then you can tell signs that are happening by agitation. Yeah. So
Exactly.
my yoga certification's trauma cooperative yoga. So it's kind
I
of
was,
cool.
love
You
I
can
was
kind of
just
see.
waiting to
You
bring
can kind
that
of,
up.
and then like how I learned sound bowls is running from like the lower chakras to the upper chakras, and looking for agitation and movement. If once you get up to the uppers, and if you see agitation and movement, then you go back down to root, and you kind of keep them back in the root, and you just
Yeah.
kind of are like watching. So I'm like always looking at the clock to make sure I'm time managing, but looking at the participants to see if there's anybody's agitation or lots of movement. So it's kind of cool to like
Yeah.
know that's because some people just you could just get some
Make
people.
sounds.
Oh man,
Yeah.
or just be up in the higher chakras and people are just like too much,
Yeah.
and they need to stay grounded or they don't know how to ground.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother thing is like grounding and rooted and stuff like that is huge. A lot of people don't even know what that means, and it's like one of the biggest tools. Like I feel being able
Yeah.
to get grounded or feel rooted, and then you kind of feel supported to expand or open up. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
definitely a balance of like knowing these things like the intellectually and then knowing it intuitively.
Exactly.
I find myself trying to like manage that balance of like when am I coming too much from up here versus
Yeah.
like a deep knowing inside of
Exactly.
me. And sometimes I might come from a deep knowing and it doesn't resonate for the other person. And I just have to
Exactly.
be like, okay,
That's fine.
I learned that lesson. Let's
Yeah.
be able to like figure out what does work for you.
Exactly.
Or like where I may have intuitively been bringing myself. Maybe I was tapping into something within me rather than like
Exactly.
what that
That's
person was
awesome.
needing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to expand and learn and more because like, and then when you're working with others, you kind of unlock and expand your own personal knowledge of yourself and your feelings and everything too. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a cool dynamic.
Oh yeah. I even see that with like my psychology practice. I feel like the universe always brings me patients who are like reflecting back to me different
like,
aspects
oh.
of myself or something that I'm going through.
Exactly.
Like I recently went through a breakup and then next thing you know, I had like 5 people coming in who are,
Having breakups
someone
or-
went through a breakup or here's some like
This is so
conflict
cool.
happening in the
Yeah.
relationship. And it was just like, oh, this is, a reflection of what could have happened for me if like
Yeah.
I continued with this or it's just really interesting to open myself up to seeing how I'm not just helping other people heal, but other people are also helping me heal
Absolutely.
through
Yeah.
the practice as
Exactly.
well.
Well, we all are a reflection of each other.
Yep,
That's
little
just,
fractals of the universe.
yep.
Yeah.
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 And then I like, because like one of the things that helped me heal was helping others. Like the what do you call that? There's like a word for it. I forgot. Not people pleasing. Not but yeah, like that's been my biggest thing getting into stuff I've been into with the veterans has been like I've noticed trying to help others or helping others is gave me that space to help myself too, and then get to know myself more and share in a safe area, and then now that expansion is growing into like being able to be like, hey, I've got this to offer. Might not know you, and you might not know me. And then meeting new people coming in and being like, oh man, I'm like, I don't know anything about them. They probably don't know anything about me. And then I perform my practice, and then it's like, oh, now we know each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
That connection is really cool.
It's like, whoa. So it's like, yeah, like a lot of times you're like, oh man, I hope I don't mess up.
Uh-huh.
I remember doing my yoga nidra, like writing everything down. Now it's like the first
He
one.
did
I
the
was
same
like,
scripted thing that
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
talking about.
the first one I was like, no, you got time for that. We're just rolling with it. And I was like, oh wow.
Trust that you know
Yeah, exactly.
the things, and
Yeah.
they'll come out when they need to.
It can be hard though.
Yeah.
I know, at least for myself, especially having so much like, educational training, things
Yeah.
like that. Like, and even still after the fact, like you have to get your continuing educations. There's so many different certifications and trainings and things like this that sometimes it can be easy for myself to like doubt.
Yes.
Right.
Like, do I
Yeah.
know enough? Am I certified enough? Am I
Exactly.
qualified enough? But one thing that's been really helpful for me is understanding like this idea of qualification. Oftentimes, like there's like colonial roots in that of, well, in order to be qualified, oftentimes people need to have the money
Yes.
to be able to get
Absolutely.
qualified. There's, boards and people who say like who it can and cannot get qualified for
Oh, yeah.
something. And so for me, it's been also unlearning some of
Yes.
that of like, okay, well, yes,
Reconditioning.
yeah,
Yeah.
reconditioning. There's some things
Yeah.
that I should have, the information of knowing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm doing yoga. It might be like mindfulness based movement or whatever it might be, but like I don't have the training to say like, yes, this is yoga.
Yoga. Yeah.
I have some beef with like life coaches because I'm like, some people might be doing some things that they're not qualified to do
Oh,
that
yeah.
could be like re-traumatizing for some people.
Totally.
Like, there is a line, while also like I don't need a certification for every single little thing, especially if it's like
Exactly.
something that's related to something that I'm already doing.
Yes.
It's just in a different name and a different
Yeah.
And
packaging.
sometimes before I did any of this a year ago, basically is when I was like, here's Dan. I've had like so many certifications. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm hesitating. I'm restricting myself or being like, no, I need to know more. And then that's like my barrier I'm putting up to actually
Do it.
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, more knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, and
More certifications. And I'm like, what am I doing?
our society tells us that you don't know what you're doing unless you have an acronym at the end of your name.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like, to be a clinical psychologist, you have
Yes.
to have that.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
Yeah.
I
But
like
there are
that.
just some things that, like you said, it's layered into what you're already doing. Just trust that I'm saying I'm doing this practice. Like,
Right.
yeah. But
Yeah.
it's a fine line, and some people take advantage of it too. Like you're saying
yeah.
with life coaches, I personally know some people that, oh boy, they're definitely in it for the wrong reasons, and they self-proclaim they're a lot of things, and they're really just taking advantage of people that are in need of help
Yeah.
and charging an astronomical amount of money because they're this life coach that sound heals and whatever. Like,
Right.
maybe some of the practices are great, but do you need to charge $50,000
Yeah.
for some help for 6 months? Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel right.
No,
Yeah,
know.
even charging anything for any like spiritual practice that I do has always felt like icky.
Yeah.
I know, me too.
It's so hard. I was doing this online sort of like training workshop, and then I stopped it. I start a lot of things and then stop them. I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn a little
met your
bit.
twin.
Yeah.
I've got like 7,000 hobbies happening at the same time.
Yep. But something that
It'll come
really
back.
resonated for me is she was talking about like we don't live in a society that actually supports helpers and healers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Especially with psychology, you would think because I'm a doctor, I make a shit ton of money, but like compared to medical doctors, there's a
Oh, yeah.
big
Which is
difference.
Wild because the whole mental part of it is the reason why everybody's not
Needs,
the only reason,
needs
but
the physical
Right.
a
doctors.
big reason
Yeah,
why.
it's all connected.
it's
Mind,
like-
body, spirit, all
Yep.
connected.
Because I've noticed like this expansion in the last year and a half has been like, I'm like, whoa. I had like high blood pressure, like really bad, and it was hereditary with my mom and dad, and it was like really high. And then when I got into yoga and I was doing the breath work, it like lowered, and then I'd go to the doctor and they're like, what have you been doing, Dan? I'm like, breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it
I go
makes
for a
big
walk.
difference.
And it's like everybody at work too is like everybody's got, because the tradesmen, we like to drink our beers and go out and
Balance.
eat too much. And so they all have high blood pressure too. And it's just like, they're like,
And high cholesterol.
and high cholesterol. And they're like, Dan, what can yoga do for me? I'm like, oh boy, buddy.
Yep.
Let's dive into that.
Yeah, it's so important, I think, and people are starting to realize that. But then the people in charge of saying, like, well, this is how much money you're going to make. Like, it's still reflected in society,
Yeah.
the sort of hierarchy that's been put in place.
Yes.
Of like, well, even psychology is seen as a soft science. It's
Which
not
is
really.
wild.
And I'm
That's
just
crazy.
Like,
Like,
what?
it's like consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's just I have a belief that it's the higher ups that know the power that it holds. They're trying to stifle it all for power, money,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah. And so that's why it's so hard to say, okay, here I'm going to put a price point on something that I'm doing.
hard,
But then
yeah.
taking that training, she's like, we're not supported. And so we have to also respect ourselves and respect our medicine. And
Exactly.
like, there's some people who are going to pay for the things if you know your own worth and your own value.
Exactly.
Like, and so I'm still trying to figure that out of like, what's my worth and my value and what values do I hold? Because I also still want to ensure that the practices that I'm putting out there are accessible.
Exactly.
And so, that partnering with the library, I'm like, okay, those are going to be free for the community.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
The
amazing.
library's paying me.
Yeah.
The workshops that I do with Claire, I'm like, ooh, okay, this sounds like too much money. This sounds like not enough. So like, can we find somewhere in the middle and
Yeah.
like find something that seems reasonable? Like I always ask myself, like, would I pay that much?
Yeah.
Because as soon as I see like, oh, this is, you have to pay $80 for this hour. And I'm like, would I do that? Is
Yeah.
it worth
Exactly,
it?
yeah.
Because even though I make doctor money now, it's the individual who grew up poor, not enough
Exactly.
money, like going to the
Absolutely.
food banks for food growing up,
Yeah.
like
Like you could have used this.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so like
It's so
that's
hard.
who I have in mind when I'm trying to put this out there,
Absolutely.
while also ensuring like I could put food on my table. So that's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can't quite let go of the clinical part of it because
Yeah.
it does provide stability.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's our empathic qualities.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that was like the my malas I make. I'm like, $15. and she's like, what? No.
Mine's like 40.
I'm like, $20.
Yeah, donation based, whatever
Yeah,
you think I'm
donation
worth.
based.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. You do so much, like you put so much time and effort into creating like a product that's like intuitively built, and then just the energy I put in them. And she's like, I'd pay $50. I'm like, okay, 30.
Yeah.
I was like, and then I love watching the videos. I'm like, we need to change our currency to being able to pay with gemstones. Or
Yeah.
Yes.
Trading and bartering.
Exactly.
Yes,
I'm like,
I
let's go.
know.
Let's bring it back.
Hopefully, when everyone shifts into the new world, that's the method of
Yeah.
payment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
3 hugs.
This
Okay.
the illusion of like value that's put on paper that's not even it's all digital now too. Like it's not even there.
monopoly money.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
I know. It drives me nuts.
Have you watched the alien guys on TikTok?
Oh, I'll have to send you what he's
Oh
talking
my
about.
gosh,
These
it's
two
so
comedians,
awesome.
they dress up as like
aliens.
aliens, like the big green head, like kind of like
funny.
our perception of what aliens look like. or people's perception of what aliens look like, and they basically make a satire of mocking humans
It's awesome.
from the aliens' perspective, and they're so funny.
Yeah, like, can you believe humans made a currency out of trees or something? They're like 300 trillion in debt. Like there isn't even enough trees for that.
No,
It's awesome.
humans are silly.
Humans are
we
silly. Yeah. I
and
know.
unique. It's fun.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my life has been figuring out, okay, how do I take care of the silly little human body?
Yes.
And, like, deal with our
Right.
silly human things while also understanding, like, there's something bigger, but
Having
we're
a
still
soul
in a
experience.
human.
Yes.
But we're still in this body. How do we integrate that in a way
Yeah.
that, like, makes sense? Because
Yeah.
as you were saying earlier about, being too high in these like higher frequencies and chakras versus low frequencies and chakras. It's that same balance, right? Like those higher chakras being the connection to the spirit, lower chakras, like that's the body.
Yeah.
And if
Pretty awesome.
we're constantly trying to like go up here and we're forgetting the body, like,
Exactly.
you end up with psychosis, you
Exactly,
end up with
yeah.
all of these health problems, you end up with, I find that, when people are
just becomes
doing
too much.
yeah, it's too much, like with psychedelics, and you're like searching for that like ego death, but you don't have any actual
Yes.
like relationship with the body.
It's like you really learn how important balance is.
Yes.
I was like, balance. I'm like, and that's been like my creativity and doing all this stuff. I've really like embraced my feminine side and energy, and then I'm like, man, I didn't even know what that was. That was like a phobia word for men and stuff. Feminine? No, there's no feminine. Like it's in everybody, but
Yeah.
it's like finding that balance and embracing both sides. It's like, whoa, like it's like a radical, freeing
Yeah.
experience. It's,
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
It allows for more wholeness.
Yeah.
Rather than there being like a focus on one or the other. Like you get to just show up as yourself, as
Yeah,
a human,
exactly. You're like-
completely whole.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And then I had something and it's gone.
If it's important, it always comes back.
He's
I'm
got
like, and then,
he's got like 100 tabs open in his
it
brain.
is.
So do I.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
feel
I'll have
that.
like 15 things I want to say, and I'm like,
Yeah, he like freezes.
Yeah, I even do that in my clinical practice. I'll be like, I
Yes.
start like 5 different
You're like,
sentences, and I'm like,
ooh.
wait a second here. Let me just map out to you the different pathways my brain is going, and then you
Yeah.
decide. Like,
which one resonates?
exactly. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh man.
You've mentioned psychosis a few times, and this topic really intrigues me because I've been close to a couple people that have experienced a spiritual psychosis,
Yeah.
and the medical field doesn't like really acknowledge it. Like both the people I know had gone to the hospital multiple times, and were getting treatment, quote unquote, like trying to figure out what was going on. And they had very similar experiences in like what they were seeing, hearing, talking to people that other people couldn't see, really dark, violent thoughts, really like it was hard. These families were traumatized by it.
Yeah,
and when
of
they both
course.
come out of it, they don't have any recall of anything they said or did or what was done. Both of these instances lasted about a month. Completely different ages. One was a teenager, one was an older woman in her 70s. And it's like frustrating for me because I'm like, this sounds like spiritual psychosis.
Right.
What are the doctors saying?
Right.
And they're like nothing. They're not saying anything. They're not even saying psychosis. They're looking at blood panels. They're looking at this and that and what's going on with the physical body, and they're not considering the light body, the
Right.
consciousness and what's going on.
Right.
So I'm just curious, what's your experience been? Have you known people in psychosis? Have you treated people in spiritual psychosis? Tell us.
Yeah. That is always a tricky space for me. I think especially, coming from, personal spaces and experiences where if someone just, channeling spirit, they might be labeled as schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Or, say you've seen ghosts or can feel energies or things like that. It can be pathologized oftentimes when it wasn't really, a mental health issue, but rather like this need to figure out how to work with grounding yourself physically when you're experiencing all of these like very spiritual things. So when I am working with individuals where it might be like, is this psychosis? Is this, spiritually based? Is this actual like schizophrenia? I try to think about, impairment, how connected to reality are they? Is there any insight? What's their judgment? Really looking at functioning. I think both can exist at the same time with having, a true mental health condition, as well as also being a little bit more sensitive to energies. And I honestly think a lot of people with mental health conditions are a little bit more sensitive energetically. And so we both can exist, and we can try to tease these things apart, not taking away the value and meaning of the spiritual experience, while also helping to support individuals who are experiencing actual like functional impairment. Medications might be a big part of that. If it truly is impacting your impairment, what are some of those medications that are going to help reel that in a little bit? For some people, they don't like the medications because it, for them, takes away the spiritual component, and they don't feel as like sensitive or connected. And so, I can't force anyone to do anything with treatment. A lot of what I do, like I don't prescribe anything, but, talking through what helps them feel grounded, what helps them feel safe and supported. If these, spirits are like, they seem like negative or evil entities, what are some practices that can help them feel protected? And that might look a little bit more spiritual if that's in their worldview, if that's their framework. Okay, let's work with that. And, maybe it's guiding them through a meditation where like, a positive entity or their God or whatever can like veil them and shield them from that negative entity. Maybe it's doing some sort of ritual or ceremony, really allowing it to be guided by my patient. I might like offer some suggestions, but like if I'm offering things and it doesn't make sense in their worldview, it's not going to work, right? It's belief. And there are some people where it's like, no, this is definitely just like straight up psychosis, and like they need medication and they need support, and like I don't even know what's happening in their reality. I also, working with psychosis isn't my jam. When there's like some spiritual flavors in there, it's a little bit easier for me to say, okay, like I think I know how to work with this or how to support you in this. I have some colleagues who really love working with psychosis, and, a friend who did some training actually in the VA in the unit for like psychosis, schizophrenia. And he would tell me like it really is just joining them in their reality, joining them in their worldview, which a lot of people don't want to do. You hear something that's different from your reality and it's like, no, you're wrong. It's like, who am I to say that there aren't fairies around here? Who am I to say that like there's not this like shadowy blob over there? Like in their reality, that's what exists. And I can't take that away from them or deny them from that.
And you start learning more about like more often about like metaverses and multi-realities. And
all these like parallel universes. I
feel like more people are kind of getting to know it a little bit more. And then I feel like maybe hopefully there'll be more knowledge on like schizophrenia and stuff. And then they'll be just having that knowing, and getting rid of phobias is a big thing, because there's like everything kind of started pretty rudimental and intense. Not too long ago, people were lobotomizing you for certain things.
Gosh.
It's like,
I know.
Or burning witches. I'm like, this is not that long ago, so it's just like, whoa.
There's
and
a
you have
common
to
thread
work
with that, though.
You have to work through that.
Yeah.
Like that's still fresh.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh.
Well, the common thread in that oftentimes is like the Western world, the colonization of these spaces where, you know, traditionally individuals who were maybe like neurodivergent or had psychosis or anything, they would be the shamans. They would be
Yeah.
the guides.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
they were the ones who were able to tap into different energies
Exactly.
that like
Yeah.
the normies didn't,
I
right?
literally
And so
just saw read something about that. Like in a village, you know, somewhere, you know, somebody neurodivergent or something like that, they would be shamans. And,
Yeah.
And then here you're like, nope, they've got this wrong
Yep.
with them. You know,
they
You're
don't
like,
fit within the
Yeah.
construct of what would make you supportive and helpful in
Exactly.
capitalism.
Yes.
So let's
Yeah,
get rid of
exactly.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bring up this all the time, but have you listened to telepathy tapes? Mm-mm. Oh my gosh, more people need to know about this. That's why I bring it up all the time. So I'll send you that too.
Okay.
It's a podcast. In the first season, this doctor / scientist who she kind of broke out of her conditioned view of like spirituality when early in her career a woman, one of her patients, like told her like this premonition. She like did just without asking her if she could or whatever. The client was like, you're going to be moving here in this amount of time and you're going to be doing this, like a bunch of these details that the doctor at the time was like, that's oddly specific. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Go on. And then they all came to life. And she was like, what the heck? She nailed every one of those, like to like tiny details. So it opened up her science research brain to be like, I want to kind of like look into what that was all about. Yeah. Well, it led her down this path of families, people claiming that their nonverbal autistic child is telepathically communicating and they can prove it. And so she gathered all these families and they did lots of studies trying to debunk the family's claim. Everything was proven right. They did all these tests. The child was in another room. They were astral projecting. They were remote viewing. They even discovered that there is a hill that these nonverbal children go to and they convene in their light bodies where they can actually speak, they can actually be with each other, and they proved it by talking through data collection and talking to all these children who would reference the hill. They've met each other on the hill and they exist in different parts of the world in this life.
Oh, that's wild.
And they brought these kids
so cool.
together and they knew each other.
Wow.
And so they're nonverbal in this in their bodies, their physical bodies, but you know, with technology,
Right.
There's computer systems and keyboards and pointing to pictures and letters, and that's how they would communicate to the for the study. Season 2, this doctor dives deeper into people with clairs, you know, clairvoyance, clairaudience, all of them, and she takes other doctors, other researchers, scientists, and their studies on the same topic. And she's getting the medical world, these people in the medical field, to come together and share their findings.
That's so cool.
And it's like so validating to what is really happening here. And it made me think of that, because you were saying, you know, ancient cultures or, you know, some of the cultures before colonization of any country, like these indigenous people would, like today's autistic child might be the training shaman because they're more intuitive and more in touch with that connection. And
then the tribes knew it too, and they come to them for guidance, and you're like,
my favorite thing that I learned when I studied Native American religious traditions in college as just kind of like, because it interested me. One of my favorite things was just learning the verbiage, like that they would define people not by like a condition, like you're autistic, or they didn't even have those words.
Right.
They would just say your personality is like the sea. It's
Exactly.
vast and deep
So
and
awesome.
and torrid, or you're wise like the oak tree and stable and quiet, and like that's how they described people. And I loved when someone was interested in the same gender, the same biological gender, they didn't say gay.
Yeah.
They were two-spirited. And it just like, can we bring that back?
Yeah. Instead of needing everything to be like in a box or
Yes.
a label
Yes.
or like, I feel like we just want to try to like understand everything, and anything that's outside of that box, like we just reject or we fear.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of what we do with our emotions too, right? These are the acceptable ones. The rest of
Exactly.
them, we reject it, we fear it. Different aspects of the self, these are okay, but this no, reject, fear. And then it creates so much fragmentation
Yes.
within
Absolutely.
ourselves, within communities. And we're all so very traumatized and unhealthy, I think, because of the societies that we're living in. It just creates this challenge of integration, and then, you know, demonization of the things that aren't seen as like acceptable or valid.
Yeah.
And then everybody's on the journey in different locations and timelines and stuff. So it's like trying to fit everyone into one, or, you know, or being the same. It's just like impossible. Everybody's, you know, we're different timelines, different ages, different stories, different journeys, different traumas, different experiences. So it's like, it's almost like you just need to like let them experience that and then talk about it. And then that's I feel like that'll help with the integration, is, you know, having a safe space to just talk about and experiences.
Yeah.
That reminds me of this quote that's really been guiding how I show up in these spiritual spaces as a facilitator, as a guide, is just the way that can be named is not the way.
Yeah.
Because it's different for each person.
Oh, yeah.
It's
absolutely.
different for you at different periods of your
yeah.
life. Like
Oh,
as
yeah.
soon as you think you know it and you have it figured out,
And then
life changes, things happen, and you
Yeah.
have to be able to have the flexibility of figuring out like what resonates and works for me right now, what resonates and works for that other person. I can't control that. I can't shape them and shift them. Like I can hold space.
Exactly.
I can offer.
a lot of times that's what they need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that'll provide that grounding. Just having somebody just listen.
Yeah, that was a
whoa.
big part of what inspired this upcoming workshop series. of,
Yeah,
like,
that's really cool.
Here's some general like guidelines. Here's this like skeleton of a structure of a practice, and then you fill in the gaps. You figure out what resonates for you. You listen to your body and your spirit and your mind if it wants to like, you know, give you some wisdom and information, and like that's good enough. There's no one right way.
Yeah.
And then the super awesome part about that is like that practice of doing that and learning that is like what potentially grows your tarot practice as well.
Oh,
Exactly.
totally.
And intuition and,
Yep.
you know, being able to just listen and experience and because that's what you've shared to me is like books and videos and especially I forgot that lady that you shared me with that does tarot intuitively. She's amazing.
Baba Jolie.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, what? But be able to look at the cards, not just for its meaning in the book,
Yeah.
but like symbols and
And what resonates with
feelings
you
and-
specifically.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what the Intro to
I'm a-
Tarot workshop's going to be all about. So,
Going.
yes, yep,
Oh my
yeah, because like
gosh.
there's helpfulness in like knowing what is in the book and what
Exactly.
it was meant to be. There's helpfulness in knowing like what different numbers mean or what the different symbols
Exactly.
mean.
Yeah.
And also I think needing or feeling like you need to know all of those things, right? It goes back to like the being qualified. Am I trained
Exactly,
enough?
exactly.
It creates this big like knowledge and doing gap where like, I'm not even going to get started because I feel like I don't know enough. And then I feel like a fraud for even trying to get.
What is that? The imposter syndrome?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can relate to that so much because recently I have been experiencing some new abilities, I guess, or unlocking. I'm leveling up. And I have had intuitively moments where I'm with people and someone visits. And the first time that it came through super strong was with my boyfriend. And someone named Ed came to me in the middle of the night and woke my ass up and was demanding me to wake him up to tell him.
Terrified.
Oh, yeah. And it was like not scary. And I've been asking my guides to like, can you like slow drip this to me? 'Cause it's scary and like do it in a way that's not going to, like, I want to open up to this. Yeah.
Close it off. Yeah.
And he was trying to get me to wake Ty up to tell him something, and I was like, who are you even? And he's like, I'm Ed, I'm a family member. And I'm like, through just like questioning in my head, in my my mind's eye, and I'm not just sitting there in the room talking to him, but so I didn't wake up Ty. I was like, I'll talk to him when he wakes up. So I was like so nervous. I was like, do you like have a family member named Ed? And I'm just like all nervous like that in the kitchen, and he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, oh, okay. Well, is he like your uncle? And he's like, yeah, I have an Eduardo uncle and I have an Ed uncle. And I was like, oh, okay. So Ed told me to tell you something, and he was like, well, he just recently died, so I don't know how he would tell you, basically. Exactly. And I was like, how do I tell you this? But there was a whole message that came through. I talked to Ty about it, and he was just like, he was actually open to it. He's learning. And then I had another one come through, and I was like, it took me like 2 weeks to be like, okay, just tell her. 'Cause I'm kind of close with her. I'm like getting closer, but we also have like, I've been her like client, like in her practice, and like something came through in a session, and I was like, oh, do I tell her? What if it doesn't resonate? Like, I'm just gonna sound like an idiot. And like, I just had that whole thing for a couple weeks. Yep. And I was like, nope, fuck it. I'm just gonna send her an audio message, and if it resonates, it resonates. And she's one of the most open-minded, understanding people that I could have had that experience with. And she was like, yeah, that resonated. Wow. And like, she didn't really go into it, but whatever it did for her, it did for her. And I was like, okay, pretty cool. Feel better about this. And like, so yeah, my spirit guide's slow dripping that to me, but just, finding the courage to say what your experience is without, and somebody might be like, you're crazy. That does not make any sense at all. And that's okay. Like, I'm learning to be more like that.
Yeah. It's hard. It is so hard. That's what helps me feel grounded and sharing what I feel like sharing is just letting people know, take what resonates, leave the rest. And then it feels like it gives me permission to just like word vomit all the things I saw or felt. And then like, if it wasn't for them, it wasn't for them, and that's okay. Or maybe it planted a seed, and then later on they're like, oh shit, yeah, actually that did resonate.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up to you earlier when you were saying that, like, if it didn't resonate in the moment, maybe you're predicting a future part of what they need.
Yeah. I learned a lot about like just listening to my intuition and sharing like what I was picking up on through the energy healing that I was doing in Florida. It was, I guess akin to Reiki. We were working with like the energy body, no touching. But I remember there was one time where I was working with this lady, and I don't know what was coming to me. I just like had a physical sensation, and oftentimes things show up in my own physical body, as well as just like little flashes of images or like a deep knowing and like needing to say something. And so I was like, I have just like a lot of tightness around the throat, and I just saw like metal like chain wrapped around your neck. And I just like get the sense that like you're holding something in, like you're feeling like you can't express yourself. And she was like, oh my gosh, my husband has throat cancer. And because of that, that's been keeping me from like expressing my needs because the relationship isn't
Wow.
really that great. And like she was in this caregiver role that she didn't want to be in, but felt obligated to be in now. And I didn't know this lady. I didn't know it was going to come up. But even being able to like just share that
Yeah.
and then her so deeply resonate
Yeah.
and then be able to like talk through that afterwards was so healing and helpful for her, where I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I need to just like put it out there and who knows what's going to connect.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And it's even cooler now to then have, you know, these messages coming through, this information coming through, and then now having the training of like, how can I integrate that
Yeah.
therapeutically with someone? How can we
Exactly.
have that
And,
conversation?
and that's good too, because it keeps it in a more safer, gradual, and then you know cues on when to be like, whoop, we need to go back to grounding. Or,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
That's
And at no
really
point,
important.
yeah, I never tell someone like, hey, I'm predicting your future,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like, this
Yes.
is going to happen. I'm
This
not diagnosing any like medical issue or
No.
anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, let's just like talk about it and see what resonates and,
Exactly.
and what integrates for you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's so important. And then like when I've been working with bowls and stuff, I've noticed in women the predominant chakra that has been blocked or restricted or has been the throat chakra.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
everybody is like, hey Dan, can you do a little more throat chakra?
Yeah.
And
Well, that's centuries of stifling
Oh, yeah.
women's
Yeah.
voices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like just learning now and being in those spaces and I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, like we've been pretty much like a male dominated. You don't have a voice.
Down
Down
with the patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. So I was like, yep. I got done with the closing ceremony and I was like, hey, I put a little extra throat chakra in everybody. And everybody's, thank you, Dan. I'm like, you bet. No problem. It's been kind of
Yes.
cool. Like,
I
I'm like,
love
this
that.
is so unique and fun.
Yeah. That's so cool.
That is awesome.
And then, I don't know, should we, how you feel?
I feel great.
Good. She'd be like, where can we find her?
Yes,
Point?
that's exactly what you read my mind.
I know,
Yeah.
we talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what are the ways that people can find you? And because not everyone probably wouldn't be able to access your clinical psychology practice,
right.
because that's probably referral based.
Yeah. The clinic that I'm in does a lot of walk-ins. We don't like
cool. Yeah.
assign, like I don't have like a certain caseload.
Okay.
It's really just working with like the medical patients there to do integrative care. If
cool.
people randomly walk into the clinic and they end up meeting me and they've heard this podcast, hello.
Hello.
I don't have any professional like socials or anything like that. I keep all of my socials very private.
Okay.
I think a lot of that also comes from like psychology. Like
Yeah.
our first year, they were literally like, Google yourself and see what comes up.
Yeah.
And if you have things that come up that are unprofessional, you're not going to get,
This or
you
that
know,
or
yeah,
blah,
you're
blah,
not going to
blah,
get an interview. You're going to, you know, be barred from jobs. There's people who like, they popped up and they have like a bong in the background and they're like,
Yeah.
see, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I've been socialized to be very,
It's
very private.
Yeah.
That's happening a lot now. They're
Exactly.
Like when job interviews, they'll
Uh-huh.
yeah,
They'll
they'll look you
stalk
up.
your
They're
social
like,
media. Yeah.
"Hey,
As
look what
they
he said,"
should.
and
Yes.
Because that's
it's
very
pretty.
telling.
It is.
It
It
is.
is. So I don't really post that much and I don't put a lot on there. It's just been recently where like Claire's been advertising and
Yeah.
like,
Cool.
oh, it's weird how
that's a
now
good
this
one.
is like in my
Yeah.
socials popping up.
So I'll be like, yeah, maybe yeah. Look at Clarity Yoga and
Yeah,
Meditation
you'll see a
Studio.
lot of things there.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
link Clarity's stuff.
Yeah,
in there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just see my name popping up somewhere in the community, you're welcome to join.
That's
I hope to, like, as I continue to work on having this like integrated clinical spiritual space, in like a private practice format.
Yeah.
My hope is to, you know, have a website
Yeah.
where all of that
Absolutely.
information can be there. I'm
Yeah.
still
Cool.
figuring out like, what's my branding? How do I put all of this shit together?
Yeah.
We're kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Rapidly, we're like, screw it, let's just start it. See what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. And that's how I feel with like the workshops. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just get
Yeah,
started
I
and the
know.
rest will
I know.
happen. And
Yeah.
hopefully
Just go
everything
for
else
it.
will start to like be put together. I have a vision
Exactly.
board of what I want, but like
Awesome.
it's not quite in the physical world quite yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will see.
I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, when you do develop all that, we are so excited to share
Oh, yeah.
your
Yeah.
business.
Or have
I
you
love
going
that.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here.
Of course.
You
Thank
are
you.
a really cool human.
Oh, thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
We enjoy
Oh.
you.
Soul in a human body.
Yeah, my inner child needed to hear that because
Yes.
like she was not cool growing up. She was not cool.
We're predominantly inner child
Yeah.
Yeah.
based right now. We're,
Yeah.
we're skipping
I
around
love
this
that.
office. and-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Galaxies. Soundproof.
Yeah. I like to think
It's
that I am becoming who she would think is cool.
Exactly.
Yes, I
That's
love that.
awesome.
I
That's
love that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's healing to the inner child as well.
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely. My psychologist would be proud.
Yes.
If you have a therapist that does not have a therapist, find a new therapist.
Well,
right?
and
We were just saying.
Yeah,
No, you
well-
were saying that in Jaded.
Yeah.
Jaden.
And I was going to
That's
bring
awesome.
that up earlier and I forgot to, but that can be another topic. But
Yes.
yes,
I could
therapists
sit
need
here
their own
for hours
therapist.
Yeah.
just talking. So
I literally just heard that on the podcast before
Yeah.
I walked in. I was like, yeah, if your therapist does have a therapist.
Yeah. Yep, they
So
should.
awesome.
first question, do
Yeah.
you have a therapist?
Yes. Yes.
they good?
That's so cool. Yep.
That's great. Well, yes, thank you. And it's been awesome getting to finally meet you in person. And I so look forward to all the awesome stuff
Yeah.
that we
Yep.
get to
Yep.
join you in. And
Yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
because your workshops are on the Sundays, right?
Yeah, so every Sunday in April, 11 to 12:30,
Yeah.
and then the tarot workshop will be
May-
May 1st, I
Ooh,
believe. So that Friday evening.
Ooh,
Cool.
Yep.
Ooh.
I'm making it all. I'm doing it all.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because I've been loving the workshops. Yeah, that art workshop was like, starting that I was like, yeah, I do stick figures and that's about it. And now I'm like,
You made some cool art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
the confidence was just like skyrocketed. Now I'm like, I was at the retreat and I was like, oh, I'm gonna draw these trees. I'm like, how am I doing this?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's that taking the barriers
through
off.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, just go for it. I'm like, it's funny. It's so cool. Excited for more.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Awesome.
before we bunny trail and get on 5 other topics.
Yep, exactly. Very easy.
It's always hard
Yeah.
to end things.
I know.
I'm used to the Hispanic goodbye where like you say goodbye and then an hour later you're still
yeah,
trying to leave.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's
I love
awesome.
it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
maybe I'm Hispanic then, I guess. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Somewhere in your ancestry,
Yes. Yeah.
past life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Past life.
Yep.
That's what it was. Cool. Well, we are so grateful for your time and
Yeah.
we'll send you this
Thanks
to
for having us.
listen. Woo.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye,
It's always
everybody.
hard
Okay,
to
bye.
end these.
It
I
is.
love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Yeah.